Hey everybody. I wasn't planning on doing a review today, but thanks to a bit of a turn of events, I was prompted to do this interview after today hearing the new Maroon 5 single, the second of two singles, Animals, which I really enjoyed. The first single was Maps, which was really good too. So I'm thinking as I'm hearing Animals, I think there's great promise for this album. This might actually be good because their last album I can't really uh, can't really say much good about, but I found out right after thinking that, prompted to look it up. I found out that their new album, 5, Roman numeral 5, they said it's pronounced 5. Anyways, 5 came out today. So, almost immediately, I found and streamed the album in its entirety to give it a listen. Well, minus the bonus tracks. I guess there's bonus tracks in the deluxe edition, but the way I see it, reviewing an album, uh, I just am interested in reviewing the original track listing as a whole, and because of how much I really enjoyed Maps and Animals, I was really interested in excited to really get down to this and see what 5 is all about. Like, I know Maroon 5 has really, over the course of their career, really taken a dramatic change in direction. It didn't really take them too long since Songs About Jane, which came out, gosh, when did it come out? Probably around 2002, but don't quote me on that, but it's around that time, if not that. Basically kind of, well, hard to pin down, I guess, kind of R&B infused rock, or something like that, but really, really good. I remember when they broke onto the scene, and they're just a fantastic band with great music all around. But as they gradually released more albums, they it didn't really take them too incredibly long to have a bit of a commercial change in direction. Especially with their previous album, Overexposed, it's called, which, very appropriate title. You basically hear so many songs from that album on the radio to like the point where you're just disgusted. You don't want to hear any more of it. You've had just about enough to last you a lifetime, which I can relate to in the case of that album, and quite a few others. That's just what radio does, in my opinion. But that was Overexposed was definitely their most commercial album to date, and I was really hoping, because I was really hoping for a change, kind of back to their roots. Once you go commercial, you can't really go back per se, in my opinion, but I guess I was really looking forward to the idea, the possibility, the hope of Maroon 5 kind of revisiting where they came from. What I was hearing in Maps and Animals was a bit of a darker, kind of minor key tone that they kind of a more of an organic feel, like you would hear on Songs About Jane, with kind of that more of an electronic beat, that kind of like what you heard in Overexposed, except less dancey and just really, like I said, really organic. a lot more as opposed to the previous album, and I was really excited. But now to get into the meat of the album, to get right to the point, it's not what I had anticipated, and not sure what a lot of people would have anticipated, but I should just speak for myself at this point. It's not bad, but it's pretty much a letdown. Let me pull up the track listing. I really try to give, I usually can't find myself capable of reviewing an album so fast, especially like the day it came out, like in this case with V. Just reviewing it later in the day. But this is a very straightforward album, and it really basically said what it needed to say, and it's not very difficult to digest. So basically it opens with the two singles, Maps and Animals, and as I kind of mentioned before, it's, they're more minor key, a bit darker in nature, probably more minor key than you've heard in a lot of their recent stuff, a lot. And Overexposed had a lot more upbeat, dancey style singles, songs on it, and these two singles really took kind of that beat, that kind of energetic, get pumped style beat, but they actually had guitars in there, kind of the clean guitar sound that, reminiscent of what they would use in songs about Jane and later stuff too, but really harkens back to earlier stuff, and just really cool guitar licks. It really accentuates the music, and just gives it, really lets you know that it's more than just electronic jumble. Like, this is this has heart and soul in it. Both tracks do. Like I said, I only heard Animals today, just before finding out V was released today, and when I started listening to the whole album. And they're very, very good tracks, and they gave me a lot of hope for this album. But kind of moving on, the rest of the album, there's 11 songs in all, so the remaining 9 songs, very, very hit and miss, unfortunately. The following track, It Was Always You, the third track, is actually really cool, and I really enjoyed that one. It really gave me kind of like an 80s alternative pop rock feel, a slight Duran Duran style tinge, and I really liked that. I grew up with Duran Duran, and they're just a quality band altogether, and so that was cool to hear, and I liked how they kind of incorporated that. But you get into songs like Unkiss Me, that have more, that one just kind of, it had a hook that just made me think of a watered down Coldplay, which didn't impress me very much. And you have just most songs, like the second half of the album, like just kind of listing it off, like In Your Pocket, New Love, Feelings, just kind of to name a few in no particular order. But a lot of what you'll hear is kind of the more poppy style stuff that you hear in Overexposed, albeit a little bit more, a little bit less dancey. So One thing you can say in Overexposed, if anything, is that it was upbeat, just really kind of gets you pumped. I mean, if you're out in the club or something, if you do that kind of thing, I mean, it's real good stuff to get down to. But if you have that element, in this case in V, and with a lot of the danciness, like more laid back, it really kind of douses its potency, and what you're really left with is nothing much to be desired or to be impressed with. But another highlight of the track, the highlight of the album rather, in my opinion, is Leaving California, track 6. So it's like smack dab in the middle of the album, and it's cool. It's more ballad. Like, it's more of a ballad, and just I like it because it's one of those tracks with a lot of feeling in it. Probably the next best track that is really just rife with emotion, in a very melodic and just enjoyable way, since the first 2 tracks that we mentioned, and I enjoyed that one. But aside from that, like after that one, what you're left with at the end of the album, the closer, My Heart Is Open, features Gwen Stefani, which is more like a laid-back piano style ballad, which is good in its own right, but it doesn't really leave you like in awe or just wanting more or anything like that. But basically, you've got a handful of good tracks, but what you're really left with, over the course of the album, really leaves you wishing that there was more to this album. That is, if you had really high hopes coming into this. I was kind of mixed because I hated Overexposed, but hearing Maps like just really kind of sparked it, because I enjoyed that song. I loved Animals, that one too. So my hope was kind of rekindled, but what I experienced anyways, I know anybody who watches this, you might have differing opinions or a differing experience as opposed to what I experienced with Maroon 5's latest album. But it's really not that impressive in my opinion. Good tracks, definitely more than one, definitely more than 2 good tracks, but aside from the few tracks that I kind of mentioned, I was unimpressed. I would personally not be inclined to pick up this album, but that's just me. And I encourage anyone who's interested in Maroon 5 or interested in hearing this album regardless to check it out and see what you think. But this is just my opinion of V, the 5th album by Maroon 5, and I would really rate this at a I want to say 5, but I will do it a little bit of justice for what it's worth and put it at a 5.5. It's slightly above average, but just not too far above average, unfortunately. But that is my review. If you have any requests of something I should review next, let me know, and I will definitely get around to it if I have the chance, when I have the chance. But I encourage you anyone watching to do that. But until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.